Best PROgear K2-D Super, manufactured by GEARt.e.k Corporation, is a dollar-intensive ordnance delivery vector system and non-projectile compliant vector component and node component handheld system. GEAR products have uses ranging from maximum infiltration-related deliveries to minimum internal to external airborne component deliveries. The purpose of this demonstration video is to inform users of assemblage, calibration, and usage of GEAR component. The containment facility used to house Best PROgear components and component vector systems is designed as a semi-discrete but efficient external containment housing for use in ops or covert ops. Locate the locking mechanisms on the top front right and top front left of the containment facility. The locking mechanism functions in both locked and unlocked positions. To access the unassembled Best PROgear components, simply orient the locks using the fingers in the second or out position to unlock, or first and in position to lock. Once both left and right frontal locking mechanisms are in the second position, grasp the upper containment housing lid and open it towards your body. The components in the internal housing are arranged according to maximum efficiency in assemblage and usage. Oriented in the center is the main base unit of Best PROgear K2-D Super. Additional components include the air-to-fluid conversion tank, ODE subtech low protection vector located inside protective ODE case, starboard side airborne stab delivery vector, VEC2 sighting component attachment, Unit 1 internal-external shaft module, the primary frontal component of this particular gear, the VEC2 vibro gear ball and stab shaft component system equipped with pre-assembled stationary stab vector, the HOP auditory delivery system, available only on the K2-D Super, the main VEC1 primary subtech low protection vector with variable low tracking mechanism, the port side airborne non-stab delivery projectile, the frontal and aftermarket non-mobile stab vector 1 and secondary semi-mobile stab vector 2. And lastly, the system calibration multivariable matrix node with color-coded calibration settings. The proper way to engage the gear for maximum efficiency and usage is to first grasp the rear handstock with the left palm firmly. Next, using the right palm, grasp the core tech handle and lift slowly upwards with medium pressure. Position the gear frontally with the right hand over the left. This is known as position 1. Next, rotating the left hand topwise, rotate the gear horizontally into position 2. Before usage can commence, the gear must be activated. The activation zone is located on the rear housing of the tech centrifuge. First, you must insert the activation chip presented to you upon approval of a GEARmaster International Certificate. The activation chip is necessary to access calibration settings as well as to allow for database communication with the mainframe and communication between mainframe and database components. This chip is for a version 0.03 mainframe. Locate the activation housing on the rear housing core of the tech centrifuge. The housing is protected by containment cap labeled RH. Grasp the cap using the fingers and swing it outwards. The internal activation housing port should now be exposed. Being careful not to blow or discharge into the housing, insert the chip topwise using the main fingers. Once the chip has engaged the activation zone port, push it gently into resting position with the main finger. Then, close the containment cap gently and conceal the chip. Next, to activate the chip, locate the main breaker and test breaker to your gear. The main breaker is labeled with a red 15. Switch it gently left to the on position. Next, switch the test breaker, labeled with a white 15, past trip, to the on position. To test if power has been delivered to the activation unit, press the red button labeled push to test. Once pressed, the circulation dome generator located in the top right of the tech core should begin to spin. Hold the test breaker in until the dome generator slows to a stop. The dome should spin for 8 to 10 seconds. When the generator rotation ceases, release the test breaker button immediately. Now you must prime the core battery to deliver power from the dome generator to the tech centrifuge. Locate the core battery priming switch on the top front center of the tech core. Using 3 main fingers, grasp the priming face and pump the switch 10 times. To release power from the battery, use the energy release breaker located below the priming switch. After switching the breaker towards you, set the power level using the slide selector. At this position, the gear is at full power. Locate the Unit 1 internal-external shaft module in the containment facility. This is the primary frontal shaft component of your gear. The unit shaft must be aligned with the internal unit core of the gear. Begin with your gear in position 2 and switch to position 3 by releasing the rear handstock and resting the stock on the right shoulder. Next, insert the Unit 1 shaft module into the frontal component housing tunnel. Thrust the module until it clicks into position. Usage of the Unit 1 module will not commence when the safety arm is engaged. To disengage the safety arm, lock the priming switch to pump position. Then, grasp the arm and rotate it downwards to a 45-degree position. Unlock the priming switch and rotate the arm to a horizontal position. The external shaft is now aligned with the internal tech shaft. To engage the unit, rotate the safety arm to the lowest position. The Unit 1 module is now engaged. The principal cylinder of the Unit 1 module should now light up. The blue light visible is the core of the tech centrifuge within the gear. The Unit 1 module also rotates once engaged. Using the primary clip as a handle, rotate the frontal module topwise. This rotation will be necessary later when installing ODE and VEC subtech components. Now locate the rear air-to-fluid conversion tank. For purposes of demonstration, we will not fill the tank with gear fluid. While holding the gear in position 4, use the left hand to insert the fluid tank into the tank reception port valve below the rear handstock of the gear. Once inserted, rotate the tank laterally until the air seal releases and the valve clicks shut. Next, you must calibrate the fluid release timer by installing the System Calibration Variable Matrix node. Install the node onto the node port located in the low left sector of the gear. Slide the node into the system chamber and press it firmly into position. Check the fluid section of your manual to determine a timetable for fluid release. The red markers indicate fluid release points, while the blue markers indicate air-to-fluid conversion points. The most dollar-intensive gear component is the ODE Subtech Low Protection Vector. Remove the ODE vector from the ODE case. The ODE tracking crystal will remain safe inside this case. Also needed to stabilize this vector is the ODE VEC1 stabilization clip. To install the ODE Low Protection Vector, insert the vector transmitter rod into the receiving component located underneath the tech shaft. The vector will rotate freely inside the receiving component. To stabilize the rotation, install the ODE VEC1 stabilization clip onto the stabilizer port. The ODE will now remain stationary. In addition to the ODE, the VEC1 and VEC2 low protection vectors may be initialized in the same receiving component. Remove the ODE vector by first removing the stabilization clip, and then the unit body. Then, insert the VEC1 transmitter rod into the receiving component in the same way as the ODE. The VEC1 is an unstable component and will rotate freely without stabilization. To prevent this sort of rotation, simply reinstall the ODE VEC1 stabilization clip onto the stabilization port. The clip will prevent unwanted VEC1 rotation. The VEC2 vibro gear ball and shaft component installs onto the VEC1 unit as a stationary stab vector. First, install the small VEC2 helium neon sighting component onto the VEC2 unit by inserting it into the VEC2 sighting ring housing joint. Twist the sight gently into position. Now the VEC2 is ready to dock with the VEC1 secondary vector communication port. Expose the port by rotating the primary clip topwise. Line up the VEC1 and 2 ports and rotate the locking mechanism bilaterally with the main finger until snug. You have now installed the VEC Master Low Protection Vector onto the best PROgear K2-D Super. Three additional stationary and sub-airborne vectors are available on the K2-D Super. These vectors are not necessary for minimum efficiency. Spare stab vectors are supplied for initialized or reinitialized use. The optional HOP auditory module supplies audio beats in hip-hop or techno styles on the K2-D model, and the port-side airborne non-stab delivery vector is also optional. To install the first optional stationary stab vector, insert it into the multipurpose clip on the left side of the Unit 1 shaft housing. The optional airborne non-stab delivery vector inserts into the intake tunnel housing component of the left face on the tech core. This component has a Y-axis rotation capability for tracking purposes. The pressure propulsion ordnance delivery vector stab on this gear must first be pressurized before installation. Pressurize the chamber by pumping the ISL 915 compression unit 8 times. Then insert the stab vector sheath onto the ISL compression shaft. The last optional component is the HOP auditory delivery system. Insert the turntable support pole into the beat transmitter on the rear housing unit. Laterally rotate the deck pole with the main finger until it clicks into position. Certified gear masters may then scratch the supplied decks for maximum efficiency of fat and dope beats.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Before your gear can become a tech, you must activate the sighting components. Switch on the starboard helium neon sight using the main finger. This system provides ordnance tracking information to the database and to the gear master's personal sense perceptions. The light emitted is for vector targeting procedures only. To turn on the port system torch, an ultra-bright personal zoning device, move aside the port non-stab delivery vector and switch forward with the main finger. These two sights will assist with area mapping and imaging units inside the gear mainframe. They also allow for more effective distance-related sense perceptions in conjunction with the delivery of airborne and non-airborne vectors. In cases of sight failure, a backup manual sighting component will be necessary. To utilize the sight, extend the sighting wand to its utmost extenuation. This wand will allow for distance-related sense perceptions in case of sight or mainframe failure. Best PROgear K2-D Super has now been assembled and calibrated. Once a gear has become fully engaged for maximum usage capabilities, it is known as a tech. To utilize your assembled tech system, you must be able to effectively position the body for tech-related ordnance delivery. Here's a brief overview of the most common of the 36 body positions. This position, known as position 14, is employed for daily low to mid ordnance delivery. Position 20C is the only left side biased position for tech usage. Position 20C allows for open motion of the left side for personal defense. Position 36X is the newest tech body position, developed exclusively for the K2-D Super by Ji-ho Sun of GEARt.e.k Laboratories in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Position 36X is an inverted position for scanning purposes. Because of the inverted nature of this position, it should not be attempted by the user until mastery of the earlier 35 positions. Consult your GEARt.e.k K2-D Super manual for training and application of all tech positions. Practice regular calisthenics.